Hi everybody, this is the Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the people's champion, your host, the Hut, and of course this is the Baseball Hut too. I need you to subscribe and like this video. So if you like rumors about Shohei Ohtani, well, this is the channel for you, quite frankly. We're going to ride this out until he is moved at the trade deadline, or really until he gets signed with a new team in December, or January, or November. Or maybe tomorrow. You never know. We're going to do a lot of videos on Ohtani. So this is the channel you want to watch of Ohtani videos. Buckle up. From MLBTradeRumors.com. Shohei Ohtani drawing widespread trade interest. The biggest question of this year's trade deadline is whether or not the Angels will trade him. Unsurprisingly, several rival clubs are interested in acquiring his services, with Jeff Passan of ESPN connecting him to the Rangers, the Dodgers, the Orioles, Rays, and now the Blue Jays. Surprised about the Rays and the Blue Jays. That's in addition to reporting from yesterday connecting him to the Diamondbacks and Orioles, which I discussed here on this channel. The fact that several clubs are interested in him is hardly shocking, given that the superstar has played so well in recent years to make it a legitimate question as to whether he's the greatest player of all time. Even though he's done it in only got to do more than 3 years, folks. He's hit at least 34 homers in each of the past 3 seasons, having already hit 36 this year for the league lead with still a few months to go. His overall batting line of 302, 398, 674 mounts to a WRC plus of 184, which also leads to all major league hitters. In addition to that, he's done 408 innings as a pitcher since the start of the 21 season with a 2.98 ERA, including a 3.71 ERA in his 19 starts this year. Given the unprecedented nature of his performance, it would be a shock if any contender weren't interested in him. So it stands to reason that several of them are reportedly on the phone lines. Whether Ohtani can actually be pried loose from the Angels is an open question, however. Recent reporting has suggested the club will be listening to offers, but that a deal is still considered unlikely. Ohtani is an impending free agent, but the Halos aren't completely buried in the standings. Their 51-49 record has them 4.5 games behind the Blue Jays for the final playoff spot. But with the Yankees and Red Sox in between, Fangraphs pegs their playoff odds at 13.7%, while Baseball Prospectus puts them at 13.2%. Rival clubs will only be able to acquire a few months of Ohtani's services, but the offers will likely still be robust. Since a player like Ohtani has never previously existed, it's hard to know exactly how much clubs will be willing to relinquish in order to acquire him. But since he's the most impactful individual player that any club could conceivably add, it's possible the bidding goes to unexpected levels. Beyond his on-field talents, there would also be opportunities for increased ratings and merchandise sales, not to mention the ability to try to negotiate an extension with the two-way player. It seems highly unlikely he would forego the open market at this point, but the opportunity to start the conversation early surely has appealed. The Rangers make a ton of sense for Ohtani in that their rotation has lost Jacob deGrom and Jake Odorizzi to season-ending injuries. They also don't have an everyday DH and could easily accommodate him in their lineup. They are currently leading the American League West, but the Astros are just 2 games back, and Ohtani could go a long way to helping them fend off Houston. However, since they are in the same division as the Angels, lining up on a trade could be difficult. The Halos may not want to watch him thrive with their rivals, while the Rangers may have some hesitation about looking across the dugout at their former prospects for the next decade or two. The Dodgers also make plenty of sense from a roster perspective. They currently have 5 starters on the injured list, including Clayton Kershaw, Dustin May, Walker Buehler, Noah Syndergaard, and Ryan Pepiot. That's forced them to bring up rookies like Bobby Miller, Michael Grove, and Emmett Sheehan. The DH slot is usually taken by J.D. Martinez, but he can at least play the outfield from time to time, a problem the club would likely be happy to work around. But the Angels may not prefer to send Ohtani across Los Angeles, given the public relations aspect. They and the Dodgers don't compete in the same division, but they compete for customers and attention in the area, with the Angels usually the second fiddle to the Dodgers. Sending him to succeed in Dodger Blue might be a bitter pill that they'd prefer not to swallow. Other three clubs also make plenty of sense given their tight American League East rivalry. The Orioles, Rays, and Blue Jays currently occupy the top three spots in the division, separated by just 6.5 games. The Orioles have a 62-38 record, but their rotation is clearly the weakest spot. The Stars have a collective 4.51 ERA that puts them in the bottom half of the league. They don't have a clear DH either, often rotating various players through that spot. The Rays actually have the strongest rotation ERA in the league, though that number may be skewed by their frequent use of openers. They certainly have a solid foursome in Tyler Glasnow, Shane McClanahan, Zach Eflin, and Taj Bradley, but have lost Jeffrey Springs and Drew Rasmussen to season-ending surgeries, while Josh Fleming seems likely to miss significant time as well. Given their fondness for versatile players, they could easily slot Ohtani into the DH role and move other players around as necessary. The Blue Jays have some rotation question marks, particularly in the case of Alek Manoah. He struggled badly enough in the beginning of the season to get optioned down to the club's Florida complex. He's since returned and made 3 starts without much consistency. Wei Jin Ryu is on a rehab assignment and could be back with the club shortly, rejoining Kevin Gausman, Chris Bassett, Jose Berrios, and Yusei Kikuchi. The Jays use Brandon Belt as DH most of the time, but likely wouldn't mind replacing him with Ohtani and figuring out a solution to that problem. The bigger issue might be their relatively weaker farm system compared to the other clubs listed here, as Passan listed them as a longer shot for that exact reason. All in all, it's still unknown how seriously the Angels are entertaining any offers coming their way. It's important for them to do their due diligence so that they'll all have the information necessary to make the decision that's best for their organization. Now, this is a very difficult decision for any of these teams to have to make. Because he's not getting dealt to the Rangers, just due to the fact it's in their division, the American League West. I'd be surprised if they did that. I don't expect them to trade him to the Dodgers. That's not happening. He could sign with the Dodgers in the offseason, but he will not be traded to the Dodgers. That'd be very surprising. They would probably in all likelihood trade him out of division, if not trade him completely out of the division and out of the West Coast. Although you never know, they might trade him to Seattle. There's one place that they could trade him to, because Jerry DiPoto, the general manager of the Mariners. There isn't a trade he won't discuss, and there isn't a player he won't trade. So if there's one guy that will trade a boatload of players for Ohtani, it would be him. Now, again, as you know, because Ohtani does 2 things. He hits. He's a top 5 slugger in this game. And the fact that he's a top 5 pitcher in the game, you will get premium talent for him. You'd have to give up twice the amount of what you would get for one big player. So you're probably talking about possibly 8 different players. Probably at least 6 prospects plus 2 major league players. Either be regulars that are in your lineup or a pitcher, or you would have to give up so much talent. You'd have to give up so much talent for a real freak. I mean, even Babe Ruth didn't do this. I mean, Babe Ruth pitched for a long time, 5 years in the majors. He was one of the top left-handed pitchers in the game, and then he became the greatest everyday player in baseball history. Now, Ohtani's in a different stratosphere. I think people need to sort of just watch him and enjoy him and see where his career takes him. He's been in the league for 5-6 years, but he's only done this at this level for 3 years. So people have to temper their enthusiasm saying that he's a Hall of Famer now. He has Hall of Fame talent. He might be one of the greatest athletes that the world has ever seen. But you have to ask yourself a couple questions. How long is he going to pitch for? That is the bugaboo. How long can his arm hold up? And how long can his body hold up playing, swinging the bat every day and pitching every 5 or 6 days? That is something that some team has to navigate over the next really the next 5 years. What kind of contract is he going to get? He's probably going to get a 10-year contract. He's 27 years old, 28 years old. Some team's going to want him until he's 38. How long is he? Like I said, how long is he going to pitch for? Another 5 years? Another 6 years? You know, I mean, it's a very difficult part of what we have here with him as a player. How do you project him 5 years from now? How is his body going to react of 5 more years of this kind of grind on his body physically? That's the question you have to have if you're going to sign him to a long-term deal. If you want to win a World Series, I think the perfect place for him, perfect kind of trade for him, perfect place, the most prospects that the Angels could get, that would really set the Angels up for a long time, and that's the Baltimore Orioles. The first player you'd have to ask for is Jackson Holliday or Cowser. Those are the kind of players that the Angels would have to ask Baltimore just to start. They have a lot of good everyday players in their farm system still that aren't contributing. Top of that list is Jackson Holliday, the #1 pick from last year, and the son of Matt Holliday. That's the guy you'd want to circle with the Baltimore Orioles if you want to make a deal. The Rays, you stay away from the Rays. The Rays don't trade anybody any good. The Angels will get burned by the Rays. I can guarantee you that. The Rays trade nobody good. They fleece everybody. If the Angels are smart, don't trade them to the Rays. They will get burned. They will get completely burned in this situation. So thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe to the Baseball Hut, and I'll see you later.